goblet squat with overhead press. So what we're doing here is we're using the kettlebell, and then we're using the squat position to lock up our hips. And I like to use a slant board. If you don't have a slant board, you can use a platform like I have here. So our platform has a little bit of a ramp or a wedge on it. If you don't have a platform that has the ability to do this, you can certainly take a 45 and then stack another 45 in front of it so that you're at an angle. And the reason we're doing this is we're trying to entirely take our ankle joints out of the movement to where we can get into a deep hip flex position to where we can lock up our hips and our lumbar spine, so then we can drive the pressing motion for our shoulders. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to drive thoracic extension with scapular upward rotation. And getting into that deep flex position kind of locks up those lower body joints. When you go to press overhead, it really isolates or kind of forces you to use that upper back or your thoracic spine to drive into extension. So when I get set up, I like to just get my feet about hip width apart. For me, it's more comfortable to squat with my toes turned out, so it's going to look a little bit different for everybody. But when I get down into that bottom position, I'm trying to get as deep as I can so my hips are relatively locked. And then if I'm grabbing this weight, I go into a bottoms up position, upside down, my hands on the outside of the kettlebell. And I kind of like to start with my elbows on my knees, and then I'm taking a big breath in to fill my belly full of air to further kind of help lock up that lumbar spine. And then when I drive overhead, I'm only going as far as I can within limitations. So if I have shoulder pain, I don't press as far. If I have a lack of shoulder mobility, I don't press as far. If I can't feel the motion in my upper back, then we're gonna scale to a different movement pattern. But again, the idea here is when I press overhead, that I'm going into thoracic spine extension. So we're gonna swipe to the next little segment here, and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're back in this bottom position again, and I have that kettlebell, getting my knees and my elbows touching to kind of help facilitate a position to breathe from. So big breath in through my nose, fill that belly full of air, and then I'm trying to drive into my upper back or drive into thoracic extension as I come overhead.